from Adland we came, moving silently down through the centuries, leading many secret lives, struggling against the wicked Maggie, until the few who remain will battle to the last. No one has ever known we're among you until now.
Hey everyone, it's Kat, and I'm back today with another decoding. Today we're going to talk about alginous Vonderplanitz. So this one is called Vonderplanitz, Nicht, Wunderbaritz. Unfortunately, we have to always be on our toes in the truth community, never letting our guard down and vetting everyone. And when people come up that I'm wary of, I will do my best to share what I have discovered with you. When the pandemic started in March of 2020, I knew there was something fishy with this COVID thing and started to research viruses to figure it out. Now, some of you will remember that before, when you had the flu, doctors would tell you they couldn't give you antibiotics for it because they wouldn't work. I remember that. I went to the emergency room a long time ago and I was so sick. And I went there and I was so mad because they said that they couldn't give me anything for what I had. And I was like, so pissed. But it was because I had and doctors knew that not alive and antibiotics don't work on them, right? Well, they knew this because we're not biotic, meaning they weren't alive. Antibiotics would only work on bacteria. Why? Because bacteria are alive. So if you had a bacterial infection, like what you get with a cold, you would have green mucus. This mucus is a sign of bacteria, of living organisms. When you had the flu, you had clear mucus. That clear mucus was actually a soap that was cleansing the toxins from your body, non-living organisms. This soap is as much alive as the detergent you use to wash your clothes. Clothing detergent is not alive. Soaps cleansing your body are not alive. So when I first listened to alginous Vonderplanitz and he mentioned this, I knew from past experience that he was correct and found out there was an actual theory that incorporated this information called terrain theory. And because he was the first one I heard talking about it, I felt trusting of him. It is our Fryan nature to be trusting, to our detriment. I even posted a video about him talking on germ theory versus terrain theory on both my YouTube and BitChute channels, and it's still up there if you want to watch it. This was when COVID first came out, and I knew the Maggie were evil and could do something like this on a global scale. I mean, I never expected this, but once it came out, then I thought, yeah, this is definitely them, right? This pandemic, of course, is to get them closer to their goal of ruling the world. But I wasn't sure yet if viruses were contagious and could really kill people. So it was very reassuring to hear what they actually were from Vonderplanitz. Then I wondered if he was still alive so I could find more info on his research. And I read that he died in August of 2013 and that he fell from a balcony in Thailand. This reminded me of Dr. Frank Olson, who was part of the MK Ultra program and did studies on LSD, who was pushed from a window by a CIA agent at a hotel in New York City in 1953, so he couldn't reveal the experiments that they were doing. Or so we're told, too, right? Because, who knows anymore, honestly, if that one's even true. And then I thought of Aaron Dover, a YouTube creator who had many interesting theories about nature and electricity, some that I find compelling to this day. And also that the Twin Towers were empty and electrical generators. So all that was very interesting, and I really liked that work he did. So he also fell from a balcony in Malaysia. But I don't believe Dover actually died today. He is a self-admitted Maggie, and I think he went the way of the other Maggie whistleblowers who mix truth with lies. Dover had some way out stuff on YouTube, like Greenland not existing. That's what he said, that it doesn't exist. But at the time, I thought maybe the same alphabet agency that took out Olsen did the same thing with Vonderplanitz, so he wouldn't share the truth about VIRUSESs. So I never looked into him further, and I shared the info he provided to help wake people up on this very important truth. Because we know if you can't catch a VIRUS, and VIRUSESs are really helpful soaps produced by our own bodies to help clean it from toxins, then all this COVID crap can't harm us. And we see what it is truly being used for, to instill fear into people to control them, even further than they are being controlled already. But that's not the problem I have with Wunderplanitz, because like any crafty deceiver, they give you a bunch of truth and then mix in the sprinkle of lies. For Vonderplanitz, I became suspicious when he started mentioning the eating of raw meat, especially high meat, which is basically rotten meat. Now, most of you have picked up on the Maggie's vegan agenda. I did a presentation on that a while back called Bringing Home the Satan. I even saw recently that if you are vegan, they won't require you to get the VAX, that you are a protected group. Now, I don't know if this is true, but just putting that propaganda out there tells you something about what they want us eating and what they don't want us eating. If true, their thinking is probably along the lines of figuring vegans' brains are shrinking already from their diets and becoming vegetables, so they don't need the shot. Their diet will bring the same end result. But then, what if you are the opposite, a total meathead who only eats meat? Well, they also have a plan for you. They will get you to be like the carrion birds, eating rotten meat. One step closer to eating rotting flesh, right? Some have called it the cannibal diet, and I can see why. Vonderplanitz calls it the primal diet. Maybe they will give an option of eating plants or rotting meat when their NWO system has reached fruition. But the truth is that man is not a vegan, not a vegetarian, not a frugivore, nor is he a straight-up carnivore. I've given an example before of a cat being left alone in a room full of oranges. That cat would starve to death before touching an orange. Same thing with a cow being put in a room full of chicken breasts. The cow would starve. But if you put a man in either room, he would eat the oranges and the chicken breast and be just fine. Man is an omnivore. Waralda made us this way for optimal survivability. Now, what is the optimal diet for man? Each race, the Fryans, Lydens, and Findens, originated in their own zoological zones. In these zones, Waralda has placed an abundance of food choices. For Fryans, living in the lands of the north, he has given us cherries, apples, pears, plums, walnuts, potatoes, berries, quail, grouse, geese, deer, elk, salmon, trout, and for domesticated animals, he has given us sheep, chickens, and cows. These are all foods we're supposed to eat. This is our optimal diet. When have you ever heard of our ancestors eating rotten meat, or even fresh, uncooked meat, if they could make a fire? Fire was given to us from Moralda, not only as a connection to him from the very beginning, and not only for heat, but for cooking. Cooked food makes us civilized, and the civilization builders are the Fryans. Therefore, we are meant to eat cooked meats. Vonderplanitz tries to argue that cooked meats release toxins that are harmful to our bodies. Hello? Do those toxins disappear when the meat is rotten or uncooked? Of course not. And we have a wonderful system provided by Woralda to cleanse our bodies of toxins. Toxins are not only in the food we eat, but the water we drink and the air we breathe. Chemtrails are the purposeful spraying of us like bugs with toxins by the Maggie to make us sick, so that flu season can have an abundance of humans doing a natural cleanse, but with them trying to trick us into thinking it is invisible and deadly germs attacking us. Not true. Not everything has to be cooked though, of course. Raw milk is the best for us. For our babies, breast milk is the best, and straight from the breast would be its raw form. So before Vonderplanitz, I first came across this high meat nonsense from watching a guy named Sverige on YouTube. I'm sure many of you have heard of him and watched his videos. Sverige actually means Sweden, but he did a DNA test reveal on YouTube, and it showed he was actually 100% Latvian, so he is 0% Sverige. I personally think that the DNA test is BS too, because from what he pushes, I would say he's just another Maggie wanting to get paid, so there should have been at least a little bit of Maggie in that DNA, right? We can tell by his views and what he posts on YouTube whose team he is on. He made a video called HITLER wanted you to go vegan. Soy and the plan to eliminate meat. New World Order conspiracy. Now the part about HITLER is 100% untrue. I actually see a lot of people who are awake to HITLER yet believe this disinformation about him. Yes, he loved animals, but no, he wasn't a vegetarian. He would eat a traditional German diet. He was a true German in every sense of the word. From an article on renegadetribune.com, Sverige is quoted as saying, "We already talked this over. The Federal Reserve is a small part of the earth, so the Maggie are hardly involved in banking in comparison. If you are talking about Sandy Hook, there are no actors. It was full of teachers, nurses, police, etc. You are simply talking about man-made beliefs that you read and choose to believe. The HOLOCAUST is a sensitive topic, that's why. HITLER, as explained in the other video, had created a torturous anti-nature prison." Right, like he would do that. I don't think so. So it's understandable why. You're in deep denial. You keep talking about countries that have Maggie and ignore that most countries don't have any. That's a mental illness. Again, you have no clue if 0.1% of any of those stories is true. So if that's what you base your beliefs on, you are gullible. What an ASS! Making excuses for the Maggie. Here in his Masonic black and white. That face he's making sure does make it seem like putrid meat tastes great, right? I don't think so. I say great because that's what they like to use, right? Greatest of all time for their god, Lucifer. And don't tell me that raw meat is yummy. I watched another guy who promotes Vonderplanitz's raw meat diet on a live chat eating raw pork and fat. Not only does it not look appetizing, does that look appetizing? But he has a strong chance of getting trichinosis. Common symptoms of trichinosis are nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, fatigue, fever, and abdominal discomfort, as well as headaches, fevers, chills, cough, and swelling. Does that sound like fun? Why in the hell would we eat raw meat and risk this harm to our bodies? Sverige also eats raw pork. Here he is at a vegan event, there for the shock factor with the pig's head. And his backup channel is called Goat Is. Of course, we know Goat is for greatest of all time, another nickname for Lucifer. So naming this channel after Lucifer is in homage to him. Let me just add that to them, the Magi, Lucifer means man becoming God, not of an actual God. So no dual seed line stuff. They believe they will be as God, ruling this world with their new world order. Many gods, in a sense. And if you eat raw chicken, you can get salmonella poisoning. Common symptoms are diarrhea, fever, and stomach cramps. So no, freshly killed raw meat that has been refrigerated, is still bad for you. My goodness. Not to mention, it is disgusting. And don't you dare feed your children raw meat. We are not zombies, and we are not carrion. Frya's children would not eat this. In Hawaii, a very popular dish is called poke. Poke is raw ahi tuna, chopped up, and different seasonings can be added like soy sauce, furikake, sesame seed oil, or mayonnaise. It looks quite delicious and tasty, but many are not aware of the condition of the fish when it is first cut open. These fish have worms. These worms are located in the stomach and tail area of the tuna. What are the chances of these worms still being in the meat? Very good. They are alive. That is why cooked fish is always the way to go. And before we leave Sverige altogether, I wanted to mention that he also drinks blood. Now tell me there isn't something wrong with that. See, here he is just chugging it down. Drinking blood is very satanic. And we know certain people like to put it in their bread for Purim. If you do a wiki lookup on Vonderplanitz, you'll find his real name is John Richard Swigart. We find out he is half Magi, and we know how that tribe loves to take on new names. Well, Swigart is no different. He changed it to Agenus Vonderplanitz. He says because he never liked his real name. He says in the wiki that he got the name Agenus from a girl toddler. What? That's what it says. Go read it. It says he got the name from a girl toddler. I don't know what that means. Well, Agenus is phonetically similar to all Janus. Janus. All Janus. Janus. Janus, of course, is the god of the Masons. The two-headed Janus, a public face and a private face. An exoteric face and an esoteric face. A profane face and an adept face. Vonderplanitz is vom der Planitz, or from the planet. So we get the all Janus of the planet. What a crafty name. And I found a video on YouTube where Agenus was a guest on the show Ripley's Believe It or Not back in 2002, where he invited the show to his house to discuss the topic of high meat. He showed all kinds of rotting meat in his fridge on a plate. I have no idea what that is. And in jars. All rotting, all putrid. He even joked at the end of the segment to not have this meat in your house because it will stink it up to high heaven. Can we see what kind of con artist he is now? All in it for the fame and money. And there are videos online talking about how Ajanus faked his own death and is alive and well, living in the Philippines today. Reminds me of Bill Cooper, the 9/11 whistleblower who faked his own death and took off. I wonder if Bill, Aaron Dover, and Janice, Aljanus, are all neighbors. Unhonorable mentions. Talking with my good Fryan, Scotland Sean, we wanted to make some other unhonorable mentions for people to be wary of. When I first woke up in 2009, I came across a guy named Andrew Norton Weber on Facebook. He was promoting drinking your urine for optimal health. And here we have him doing the nice 666 Omega hand sign. Now, I never drank my own pee, but I saw many people being duped into doing this. Then I saw a video of that singer Kesha drinking her own pee, and that sealed the deal for me. No way. It is very satanic thing to do. I've heard in some satanic get-togethers they not only drink their piss, but eat their feces as well. I'm sure for hors d'oeuvres they eat some rotten high meat. It just amazes me the kind of things they can dupe people into doing. We have to think logically on all of this and use our common sense. We know urine is a waste product. We take in liquids, which our body breaks down into nutrients used by the body, and the remainder, that is of no value, gets eliminated. There is no magical pee that can do all sorts of wonders for your body once you re-ingest it. That is total garbage. It is the emperor with new clothes, getting gullible people to believe something so that the ones pushing this can be the tailors, making the money off of you. Now, I really liked another person promoting germ theory versus terrain theory and thought, yes, let's get this info out. But when frequenting her channel on BitChute, I noticed something too that alarmed me. She kept having guests on that were promoting the drinking of pee. You might know her as Dr. Yummy. Amanda Vollmer is her name. Another one to be wary of. And here when I took the screenshot, I think it's funny how the start button right there is covering her right eye, so she's looking at us with her left. Is the universe trying to tell us something? And if you do an internet search today on the founder of terrain theory, Antoine Beauchamp, good luck finding anything positive about Beauchamp or his theory. Everything has been scrubbed, and what is left is disinformation against Beauchamp and pro Louis Pasteur with his pasteurization process that kills all the healthy probiotics from dairy. Let's look at some of this disinformation. From Wired Magazine, whose link comes up at the top of the search, says in its article on germ theory versus terrain theory, the French chemist Antoine Beauchamp was a lifelong rival to the great microbiologist Louis Pasteur. Pasteur invented pasteurization and vaccines for rabies and anthrax, and discovered that many diseases are caused by invisible germs. Beauchamp was a bitter crank who argued that microbes became dangerous when the health of the host, its terrain or environment, deteriorated. Beauchamp was comprehensively wrong. Pasteur's germ theory of disease, which describes how sicknesses are caused by bacterial infections as well as by viruses that invade our cells, or else by genetics, aging, and accidents, is supported by evolutionary theory and all the observations of modern medicine. Today, Beauchamp is invoked only by anti-vaxxers and disciples of alternative medicine who believe that food is medicine. Can you believe that? Crazy people. What are you thinking? And here is the cover of Wired magazine on another topic. We can see it highlights their favorite topic of racism front and center. Notice she is a mixed breed, the new hybrid that the Maggie are striving for. These, of course, will be their slaves. She is looking to the left and is wearing blue, Lucifer, and pink, which is the mixing of red, blood, and white, semen, to make their he-she Baphomet. This one doesn't appear to have breasts, so can very well be a male posing as a female. And Wired is written in orange because orange is the only color that equals 33 in numerology. So any article in this magazine will be pro-Maggie and against the rest of us. So since they're making fun of terrain theory and its founder, Antoine Beauchamp, we know that the article is a lie. And here's a picture of Lucifer. See, he's blue, Lucifer in blue, at the entrance to Denver International Airport. I'm sure you guys have all seen that one. And Scotland Sean told me about two others to watch out for, Thomas S. Cohen and Sally Fallen Morell. Sean says, Fallen Morals and Cohen, meaning a sneak, and their book, The Contagion Myth. Sean states that in this book, they give us information on terrain theory, which is good, but lots of other bullshit, and they are promoting stuff to purchase in the last couple of chapters, because that's what they do, right? Always got to make some money off us. So we have Fallen Morell and Cohen, which is Fallen Morals and a Sneak. They always give it away in their names. Because it's all about that profit, isn't it, for them? The profits of the prophet. Truth is free. Also, Cohen is another spelling of Cohen, C-O-H-E-N, which is the priest class of the Magi. And Fallon, I've mentioned before when speaking of the talk show host Jimmy Fallon. Fallon is short for the fallen one, another name for Lucifer. Here he is on his talk show with Madonna. Priest King or Cohen? Genghis Khan means great king, Khan or Cohen. Ryan Zem, on one of his videos on his YouTube channel, made a really good observation when he said that if you switch Genghis and Khan around, you get Khan Genghis, and Genghis is phonetically very similar to Jesus. Genghis, Jesus. So Khan Genghis could very well be King Jesus. But I digress. The whole point being, if you are a Cohen, or a Cowan, C-O-W-I-N, you are Maggie royalty. Are you really going to be sounding the alarm and helping non-Maggies out? Or are you going to be just another trickster selling your wares? And this is a statue of Genghis Khan in Mongolia, all in silver and gold. Cohen supposedly gave up his medical license so he can help share the info that COVID and 5G are connected. The likes of Woody Harrelson and John Cusack are helping Cohen spread this disinformation. No A-listers would be allowed by their Hollywood masters, the Maggie, to promote this information unless it was fake. Here we have Cohen give some truth, terrain theory, while at the same time sprinkling the crap once again. Here that 5G is causing these COVID symptoms. The real reason for 5G, in my opinion, is to have enough infrastructure to make everything digital now. They have already planned the phasing out of physical stores you can shop in by 1. Bankrupting small mom and pop stores using COVID quarantine crap, and 2, limiting what you can buy in the stores, right? They're out of everything in the stores. Like thing that they've been out of, which is just really baffles me, is water. Like you can't even buy water in the store for months and months and months now. It's like so rare to find water. They want us more and more isolated because then it is much easier to control us. They want us working from home, shopping from home, and yes, even teaching our children from home. Hello, Zoom classroom. And so if everyone is on the computer, they need that 5G system to support it all. So they can't have us knowing this truth, because then we would all the more question if this VIRUS event was pre-planned. Of course it was. And that the VIRUS might not actually be real. How many people can honestly say that when 5G went in their area, they got physically ill? Please don't be one of these jump on the bandwagon people, like the I got COVID people. It is not making people ill. Be truthful. It's not. In addition, Sean mentioned to me that Thomas S. Cohen is a director at the Weston A. Price Foundation, who sells the disinformation, just like Wired magazine, about miscegenation. Wired is pushing that miscegenating does not cause health problems, but that diet does. Well, we know it is diet, but it is also miscegenation. So they are giving us half-truths, which means the other half would be half lies. The truth is that miscegenating makes hybrid offspring. And if we look to nature, we see that these hybrids are sterile, like the mule, made from mating a donkey with a horse. And they inherit both parents' genetic diseases. So it's always less of either parent, the hybrid. And of course, the Price Foundation, headed by Cohen, is pushing the anti-NAZI propaganda when discussing this. That should be a red flag for you. And like any good Maggie, is selling a multitude of items at the end of his book, Snake Oil Salesman comes to mind. So please be vigilant and use your discerning eyes to glean information from people. They are in every field under the sun. Cohen, Morell, Dover, Vollmer, Weber, Sverige, and Vonderplanitz all give good info, but mix in a sprinkle of bad that they hope to catch you with. And always look to Weralda and his creation for answers. He created man to survive. He put into man's system a natural cleansing mechanism to help him fight a toxic environment. These are called VIRUSESs, and they are a good thing. He gave us plenty to eat with a wide variety of choices to maximize our survivability. Nuts, grains, starches, fruits, vegetables, fish, and meat are all provided by him for optimal nutrition for his creation and determined by man's zoological zone. No need to do this crazy worldwide shipping of food. We know this is only so the middleman, the Maggie, can control us and make money off of the trade. And above all, that fire is from Weralda for us to gather around in a hearth at home to appreciate his goodwill. Hearth has heart in it and earth, our home for a reason. Hail Fryan, hail Weralda. Take care.